What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Batter's Box. My name is Jackson Shubb, not to be confused with
Jackson Smith.
And here we are back with some playoff baseball. Last week, playoffs were just starting off, but here we are kind of knee-deep into it. I'm very happy about what's happening. You've got him with his O's hat, so not sure. But I do have a little gift for you. A little surprise.
I'm intrigued.
I don't think you should be repping your O's hat right now. So, I brought you a Shohei jersey, which you're going to put on right now. And you're going to rep the Dodgers while we play. Game starts in a few minutes, so we'll have that on in the background.
This is sacrilegious.
And keep you guys updated. Yeah, at least I didn't bring you my Bueller jersey. You wouldn't have been happy about that.
I'm going to keep I thought about wearing an O's jersey, but then I figured I can't rep a team that's not in the playoffs, and everybody else on campus is repping a team that's in the playoffs.
Exactly what I'm thinking. So, let's just jump into it. We kind of want to talk about each series that's happened so far and kind of how they've gone. I think we should start off with the fact that your prediction from last week that the Red Sox would win the World Series was cut short. A quick 2-1 win by the Yankees, and I'm not happy about it either. But I want to hear your opinion on that.
I was on such a high road about that, especially after Game 1. And I talked about how last year I picked them to make the playoffs, and my prediction for them to win the World Series is also going to be correct. Well, that didn't happen, and in really a disappointing way. I mean, they had Game 1, pretty convincing fashion. I mean, yeah, Chapman gave Red Sox fans a heart attack there in the ninth of Game 1, but they got it done, and it looked kind of like the Yankees were out of gas and that the Sox were going to take it. Well, no, I mean, this is where starting pitching comes in. The Yankees had the starting pitching experience. The Sox didn't, and just the Sox defense fell apart in that Game 3. Way too many mistakes, way too many free runners. And kudos to the Yankees for battling back. That's a team that has struggled to kind of stay in the fight in recent years, especially against the Dodgers last year. They got down early. They weren't able to bounce back.
There we go.
So, as someone who just appreciates good baseball, despite absolutely despising the team, it was cool to see them bounce back. Tough to see the Sox get booted, but I think they've got a great future with guys like Roman Anthony, Garrett Crochet locked up there long term. I think they're going to be a force in the AL East for years to come. And as an Orioles fan, they scare me more than any other team in that division for the next 5 to 10 years. So, yeah, good season for the Sox. My prediction, of course, falls on its face in the wild card round. But yeah, I don't even shot in the dark anyway.
I don't even think it was the crazy prediction. Like, this is one of those years with baseball we talked about last week. There's so much that can happen. I have a lot I want to say about the National League. We'll talk about after. But it's just so unexpected in the AL right now. You have so many young teams. You've got teams like the Tigers, Mariners, Blue Jays, who you never know. None of these teams have playoff experience, especially recent. And so you never know what's going to happen. So I don't hate your prediction, although it did fail. But yeah, I mean, that series Game 2 was so entertaining to watch. Two rookies against each other. That was Game 2, right? Not Game 3? Schlittler versus Connolly early. I was astonished to see Garrett Cole 2.0 for the Yankees. Cam Schlittler, he's pitching
fantastic.
He's pitching tonight again. Not as great as one strikeout. He's selling my little parlay. I said he'd go over on 5, but 12 last time. I guess he's gassed from that. And there's honestly more film of him now, which they didn't have much of. But he's going to be a star.
Yeah, no, that Yankees team has played well, and we'll talk about the current series, but last night's win was really impressive for them too. The one thing I was a little bit surprised about is Alex Bregman in the postgame kind of made a little bit of a cryptic comment, said it was an honor to wear this Red Sox uniform. He has an opt-out clause after this season, so I was very, very curious about that, given the investment that the Red Sox poured into him. He was a good pickup and played well in the playoffs for them too. That Game 1 really came down to their off-season acquisitions. Bregman and Crochet had big moments. So I'm really interested to see whether the Sox throw more money at Bregman this offseason or if they allow their young pieces to step up and take the reins. But that's going to be a very interesting offseason decision for them.
Absolutely, I agree with that. And Yankees moved on, and now they're playing against another division rival, one that's even scarier, and it's the Blue Jays, and they're about to get bounced out, it looks like. It's close. It's close. 2-1 right now in the top of the 7th, but talk about signature postseason moments. That Vlad Guerrero grand slam was just... that was incredible. On every single compilation for the next 10 years of
most electrifying playoff or loudest playoff moments. That's going to be on those clips.
That's the new Jose Bautista home run.
And that building in Toronto is that place exploded. Really cool to see the Blue Jays fans get behind their team. It's been a while since they've had home games in the playoffs and have been a threat to win it all. So that's been cool. Again, AL's division rival, seeing 3 of my rival teams in the playoffs is kind of hard to watch, but Blue Jays look really good games 1 and 2.
Yeah, Blue Jays look really good. And I'm, as a Dodger fan, which we'll talk a lot about later, but I'm very worried. That's the one team that I think is posing a real threat. And the reason for that is they don't know how to strike out. They are so good at putting the ball in play. And all these teams got great defenses. They all made it to the playoffs, but one little error can ruin it.
And that team plays defense so
well. You have guys all throughout your lineup who just don't strike out. I mean, Andres Jimenez, Dalton Varsho, like some guys near that bottom of the order, they're still so lethal, and they have value in so many different ways. They're not like Vlad. They're not doing the exact same things as some of the other players. Springer has been great.
Well, and what's so cool about that to see it is in this modern era of baseball where we focus so much on the home run and these bigger aspects of the game, the parts that kind of get forgotten are the putting the ball in play, the base running, the defense. And I look at the Blue Jays, that's a team that does all the little things really, really well. I mean, there was, I might get the players mixed up, but there were back-to-back plays. I believe it was Dalton Varsho made a spectacular diving catch in right.
Yes.
And then George Springer follows it up with another amazing sliding catch in center field. Like, this team, it's hard, one, like you said, to strike them out, and two, it's really hard to put balls in play against them and to get on base. They have a good pitching staff. They have a good bullpen. Jeff Hoffman's a little shaky at the back end, but they can do everything wrong. That lineup can mash.
And they've got guys like Addison Barger. Most guys don't know that name. Most fans, mostly anyone does not know that name. 3 for 3 on this game so far today. 3 hits. Anyone can help this team out, and it's they have so many valuable assets. So Blue Jays look like they're going to take this series. Honestly,
don't speak too soon.
I won't speak too soon. And we had a moment like this last year where we were saying, I think it was the Mets Brewers, and we were like, oh, Brewers have the series, and then Pete Alonso went deep in the final inning. Yeah, because it was against Devin Williams.
Yes.
So we don't want to talk too early here because we've had a few times where we see things happen. But moving on, I mean,
Mariners series, yeah.
Yeah, so Mariners with their bye series, and it looks like the teams who have had byes other than actually, you know what? I'm not going to say that. I think it was just the Phillies and them. But they've struggled a little bit because they've had a week off. Bless you. The Tigers, I mean, they've stepped it up. They had a horrible end of their season. I think they had like a 10-game losing streak at one point.
Yes. Yeah.
It was really bad.
Well, we talked about that last week and how they almost fell off the face of the earth at the end of the season and just barely snuck into the playoffs. And they played great. There's a leadoff one-out base hit for Ernie Clement in the top of the 7th for the Blue Jays, man on. And Cleveland came out firing in that series too. Cleveland had home field advantage, division rivals. I really thought Cleveland was going to win that series. I was surprised to see the Tigers win it. And then they come into Seattle, and they kind of dominate them in Game 1. Seattle bounced back, Games 2 and 3. Detroit won an exciting one today. Riley Green finally got on the board. That's a huge home run for them. Like you mentioned just before we started the podcast, Tarek Skubal on the bump tomorrow night.
It's not tomorrow night.
On Friday night for Detroit. That is going to be a matchup to watch. Winner go home. Winner move on. Loser go home in Game 5.
So I don't know if he's watching right now, but my really salty Mariner, or I have a friend who's a really salty Mariners fan, and he's like, "We destroy Tarek Skubal every time." It's Tarek Skubal.
Yeah,
he's winning a Cy Young.
Best pitcher in the game.
Yeah, pitcher in the game. I mean, he could arguably be better than Skeens just because Skeens is still so young and has nothing to back him up. But Skubal is about to win back-to-back Cy Youngs. He is so dominant. He struck out 14 against the Guardians in Game 1 in that series. He is so elite. I know he had a bad game last time. If Jorge Polanco does not tear him up like last time, I think Tigers got this. And it sucks because I am someone who has been advocating for the Mariners. And by the way, I just want to point out, I have the Dodge game pulled up here, and the Phillies are at that point where they are bunting to start the game. Trey Turner just bunted to start this game.
Ooh.
For an out. that is bad. And honestly, I think we should just kind of move on to that. Phillies. I mean, I don't think we need to talk about the Reds series.
Absolutely annihilated Cincinnati.
Yeah, and
just two different weight classes.
That was ridiculous. I mean, we talked about that the last time. I was at one of those games, game one, and we just were home run after home run after home run, and fan energy was just crazy. And then the bullpen came in and almost blew the game, and then the other night, same thing happened. But I want to bring up, in Game 2 of the NLDS, Dodgers were up 4-0. Pitching was so good by Blake Snell, and Luzardo of the Phillies was excellent. I mean,
well, keep in mind, it was scoreless up until the 7th inning.
Right, and it was like a one-hitter for each team, and Luzardo was just that guy on the mound for them, I think. I think they're two lefties that they have, and Chris Sanchez and him. It's just, it's disgusting, and I'm surprised about how they were able to do all that. Or the Dodgers were able to still put up runs against them. But Dodgers are winning 4-0. We go into the 9th inning. Dave Roberts brings in Blake Trinan, and it becomes a close game. And what was that? I want your opinion. Do you think that was a Blake Trinan being, a part of that terrible Dodgers bullpen, or was that a Dave Roberts issue and bringing him in instead of bringing in Roki initially?
Well, it's funny, Jackson, because I thought about you when I was watching the end of that game.
You kept texting me.
I was texting him saying, are you nervous? I would be if I was a Dodgers fan. I was watching it with like a bunch of Dodgers fans, so they were all stressed out at the end of that. I mean, I think it's just the nerves of being in the postseason, and I think it's playing in the toughest postseason environment in the majors. Philadelphia is a wild sports town.
Oh yeah.
And there are Phillies fans everywhere. I'm from outside Baltimore, and there are, especially when the playoff time comes around, it almost seems like the Phillies fans are more vocal than the Orioles fans. That place is loud, and as soon as they found one little snippet of momentum, it just snowballed, and it kept going. And I am shocked that with no outs in the bottom of the ninth, correct? Yeah, with no outs in the bottom of the ninth, they call on Bryson Stott to bunt. With all the momentum in the world, down one, tying on second base, with no outs, they call on him to one of the best hitters in the lineup, and Dodgers make a great defensive play.
Bryson Stott?
I mean, okay, not one of the best hitters in the lineup, but he's effective. He can drive the run in with the
base. Sure. I fully agree with you on this one.
One of the slowest runners on the base paths, Nick Castellanos, was on second base, and you're going to bunt to try to get him over. That's bad coaching by the Phillies, and kudos to the Dodgers for taking advantage of it. I don't think Dave Roberts should be blamed. You got to put in your best guy, and he did. Yeah, you're going to have a bad performance every once in a while, and that was the case there. But Vesia came in and clutched up for him, and that was.
Well, then Roki came in for 2 pitches, which was such a scary ending. I don't blame Edmund for his throwing of the dirt. If you guys didn't see, final out was a little.
Oh my God!
Grounder to Edmund at second, and he threw it in the dirt. But Freddie Freeman, of course, picked it. It was routine, honestly, but you never know. It could take a horrible hop, and that would have tied the game. I don't think they would have brought in that winning run, but if the Dodgers go to extras against a team like the Phillies in Philadelphia, it's kind of over.
That was a wild game, and we can sit and argue whether we think the series is over. I know as a Dodgers fan, you probably think it is. I think if there's any series that a team could start off 2-0 or start behind 0-2 and still be in it, it's the Phillies. I think that team is so dangerous on both sides of the ball. They can pitch, they can hit, anything can happen. Those are two really good teams. I think if they come out tonight and they whip the Dodgers in Game 3, it's a crapshoot from there. I have no idea who's going to take the rest of the series.
All right, that's fair. And tonight, the Dodgers have Yamamoto, who...
I do think the Dodgers win tonight. I'm just saying, if the Phillies win tonight, even though they'll still be down 2-1...
No, I respect that. Here's the thing. We could lose tonight, and I'm trying to be as positive as possible, but the Dodgers have no clue how to put up runs when Yamamoto's on the mound. I feel so bad for the guy because he is so good, and he has had such a great year, but he loses so many games, and it's because this team can't put up runs for him. If we lose tonight, there is that chance, because Glasnow's on the mound tomorrow, and I trust him personally, but you never know with the guy. He's either going to have the best game of his life or come out after the first inning. And then we go back to Philadelphia for Game 5, and honestly, if that happens, I really do think you're right. But I'm just hoping we can lock it down tonight or tomorrow. And I kind of want to go back to that Bryson Stott thing, because I really disagree with you. I think that was a smart time to bunt. In that kind of situation, I don't think, if I were a Phillies fan, I wouldn't have much faith in Bryson Stott. And I don't think anyone was expecting that wheel play. Mookie Betts called that wheel play. That was fully him during that huddle, pitching change. He made that decision, and that is why Muncy was able to be aggressive on that ball and that bunt. There was a lot of risks there. And the fact that that worked out, I think, was very beneficial. Mookie Betts is proving to be one of the best shortstops in the league after being an outfielder his whole career and winning however many Gold Gloves. But I want to give it to Dave Roberts because I feel bad. He gets hate for everything, and I don't think it was a bad idea to bring Trinan in. Roki needs to be used very carefully because he has limited film. Any film that teams have of him from the beginning of the year is not that important because he throws 5 miles per hour harder now because he has a better follow through, and so he wants as limited a film with him as possible. So I kind of like that, and Trinan's pitches were not bad. Phillies just hit him well. Yeah,
I agree with Trinan, but here's where I disagree with the whole Stott thing. Like I said, you have Castellanos on second base. You have all the momentum in the world. You want to make the high percentage play that's going to keep the momentum. And when you have Castellanos on second, who cannot run the bases,
not at one bit,
and also you bunt it down the third base side, so all the pitcher has to do is shovel it to whoever's on third. If he would have bunted down the first base line, then the pitcher has to turn around and spin around and throw it to third. That's a much more difficult play. I think that was botched by the Phillies. And Bryson Stott, okay, he doesn't hit for power. He had a 257 batting average this regular season. He can put the ball in play and drive runs in. 66 RBIs. That's not too shabby from a middle infielder, from a second baseman. I would much rather put the bat in his hands in that situation. Drive a run in with a hit, or have him hit it to the outfield, move him over to third on a sacrifice. He's a lefty; he can pull the ball. I think that was really, really poor. I think that was a really poor decision.
Yeah, all right. I mean, I can give you that. I think that you could go both ways with it, but honestly, for me, Dodgers are winning the series. Dodgers are going to take it on against probably the Brewers. I mean, Cubs won today, but Brewers look like they're going to win. I just don't see a world where the Brewers can beat a team like the Dodgers, and I want your opinion on that. Who do you think World Series matchup will be after everything we've seen? Because usually what you say is wrong, but...
So in that case, I'll just say the Dodgers are making the World Series.
All right, no, but that's not wrong. No, you're accurate for once.
I think it's way too early to say. By the way, Easton Lucas just had a 2-run single in the 7th inning in the Blue Jays-Yankees game. It's now 4-1 Toronto.
Ooh, Yankees fans.
The 7th, so let's go Jays.
That's rough.
I think right now, Milwaukee looks dominant. The Cubs are a really good team. The Padres are a really good team. And the Cubs made the Padres look like they were in another weight class. And now, yes, the Cubs bounced back in a really tight game this afternoon. I mean, the Brewers almost came back. That Milwaukee bullpen has been phenomenal this postseason. Their lineup can hit. I know I've been saying this about a lot of teams. They can do everything well. Milwaukee's got that devil magic. And
Milwaukee sucks. I don't get it.
Milwaukee's dangerous. They've got home field advantage. I think this Dodgers-Phillies series, even if it's short, it's going to take a lot out of LA or whoever comes out of that series. I like Milwaukee out of the National League. And then out of the AL, I really like how Toronto's looked. I don't want to jinx them right now because they're ahead late in the game. But I think they look like they're the 1 seed in the American League.
I agree with that one. I think I'm really seeing a Dodgers-Jays World Series, and for me, I love that. I really like the Blue Jays. I mean, I'm very vocal about the team I like, but Blue Jays are probably my favorite team in the AL. I find them really fun. The O's are fun, too, but
thank you.
If they're not in the playoffs. They're not in the playoffs. So I just think it wouldn't be a easy win for the Dodgers if that's what happened, but because of that bullpen and the fact that the Blue Jays can put up a fight. They can. We talked about that. But I think, there's not many teams that can play against the Dodgers have so much playoff experience, and these guys have been there for a while. Mookie Betts, extra base hit as Brandon Marsh tries to make a diving play on a liner to center, and he's going for 3, and he'll be safe. We've got a runner on third in the first inning when we won.
I hope you guys like the little play-by-play we got for 2 different games we got going on here. One question I do want to ask you, because you're a Dodgers fan, you hear the hate for Dave Roberts quite a lot. And on the other side of the country, in the Big Apple, the same is said for Aaron Boone quite often. And he got a bit of a pass last year by making the World Series, but before then, it's been a lot of disappointment in the Bronx. They have not been able to make deep postseason runs pretty consistently.
Right.
And if they lose here to Toronto, that's another instance of that. They didn't win the division, so you don't have that excuse. Do you think it's time for Aaron Boone to be fired in New York if the Yankees lose this series to the Blue Jays?
100%. And
wow.
Okay. I wouldn't say 100%, but I don't like Aaron Boone as a manager. I don't think he is right for that. I think he makes sense for that, how that team was a couple years ago. I think he works for players like Stanton and stuff, because Boone just makes sense as like a guy, like a manager who wants to swing for the fence, has his team swing for the fences and doesn't play small ball. That team is starting to develop in a way where they need to play small ball. You've got guys like Volpe, Chisholm. I mean, Chisholm is kind of goes both ways.
But he can do everything. Right. It's like a Swiss Army knife.
Right. You've got a guy like Ben Rice who can catch and play first base and hit.
And Cody
Bellinger. That team just isn't the same as it was a couple years ago, to where they were like still the Bronx Bombers.
I totally agree. Yeah.
I don't think he's necessarily a bad manager. I just don't think he's right for that team.
I completely agree 100%. I mean, you mentioned you had guys like DJ LeMahieu and Aaron Hicks was in New York. Orioles legend Aaron Hicks swinging for the fences too with that short porch and right. It's a totally different build-up of the team.
Right.
And now you see a rotation that's not as top heavy. You know, it used to be you've got they still have Garrett Cole. Obviously he's been out. He's still been out. But now you have multiple guys who you need to step. I don't think Boone has done a great job at balancing all that. Yeah, that's a team where if they didn't have their one guy that swings for the fences. Now, obviously, you put Aaron Judge on any team, and it's going to change the outlook of that organization.
Unbelievable home run.
That's another signature postseason. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, that was great.
And I do have a question to ask you later that has something to do with that. That's a little bit controversial among baseball fans.
Sure.
But I do think that Aaron Boone, his time might be running out in New York. As an Orioles fan, I love to see Yankees fans chop each other's heads off whenever they lose and call for Aaron Boone to be fired. It's even when it'll be like a random Wednesday night in the regular season and they'll lose.
And it's not his fault.
And they'll lose 3-1 because Kyle Bradish pitched a gem for the Orioles. Oh, fire Aaron Boone, he stinks. Like, it's the Yankees way now.
It's the same thing.
I do think there is some. Yeah, it's spoiled big market teams.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very vocal about I hate most Dodgers fans. I am a Dodger fan, but I do not like our fan base, and it's because we've gotten spoiled, and I hate the argument of, well, you buy your players all this. The people who argue that, it's just because they're jealous, because their teams don't do that. And I'll give it to fans who are like Tampa Bay and whatever, like they don't have that money. But again, if you're watching, my Mariners fan friends today were like, oh, you guys just buy all your players. The Mariners need to make a splash this offseason anyways. So if they don't, the complaining needs to stop. So that's how I feel on that. But I want to hear your question, your controversial question.
Yeah, so last night after the Aaron Judge home run, the Yankees radio broadcaster Dave Sims said the home run bounced off the fair pole. And I listened all throughout my childhood. I listened to the great broadcaster Gary Thorne calling Orioles games, and he would also call it, the only other broadcaster I've ever heard call it the fair pole. Do you think it should be called the fair pole or the foul pole?
This is not what I expected you to ask, and I actually didn't see that, so this is interesting. I'm going to go with the... Wow, wait. I've really...
Because if you think about it, it is a fair ball if it hits it, right? Like, it's marking fair territory, not foul territory.
What if we gave it a new name? Because you're right, but
it's called the big yellow pole.
It marks both. I think it's the foul pole because that's how it's always been, but I understand your reasoning. But for me, it's the foul pole. That's what it's always been my whole life.
It's got to be the fair. It's fair.
Jaden back here has given a suggestion. Literally,
is the
ambiguous pole.
We can also, and some of our production team is helping us out here, call it something maybe more ambiguous because we don't know what it's technically foul. It's technically fair. Like you can really go anywhere with that. So I just think it's the foul pole still, just because that's how it's always been, and just because an Orioles broadcaster who was great, but just because he said that, and now you got other guys saying no.
But it's fair territory. If the ball hits it, it's a home run. It's not a foul ball. It's a home run.
I think that
I've always felt like a fish out of water calling it a fair pull. I guess
it
now
just sounds weird to me.
We're starting the discourse right now. This is the moment we start the discourse. I'm going to hold up signs outside campus. It's called the fair pull.
It just sounds weird to me, and I just don't. I don't know. I can't get around to calling it a fair pull when my whole life and for generations before us it was the foul pull. But you're right, it is technically marking fair territory, so whoever named that originally doesn't know what they're talking about, but since it got named that originally and stuck, I think it should stay. And that's how I feel on that.
Who's you asked me my World Series prediction. I mean, I guess you did say Dodgers.
Dodgers Jays, yeah. I've got Dodgers Jays. If not, because I'm not going to be this biased fan of this whole podcast, if it's not the Dodgers...
Who do you think is the Dodgers' biggest threat in the National League?
Okay, so I still think... It's going down, obviously, as we're starting to beat the Phillies, but this whole time it was the Phillies. I think the only threat in general was the Phillies. Based on how they're playing, though, the Brewers honestly right now might be. I've always been an advocate against the Brewers. I think that their power friendship is great, the way that they're able to be such a not a terrible roster, but such a weird roster and play the way they do. But just watching their game today, I was in class watching the Cubs and Brewers game, and Quinn Priester looked terrible, like really, really bad. And then they brought in the pen, and it was just like walk machines, like so many walks, so many mistakes, and they also just weren't hitting. And then it picked up a little bit, and obviously they kind of made that game closer. But I just don't think they're that strong. But I don't think that the Cubs pose a threat to us at all. I think that they're a great team, but I think the Dodgers easily beat the Cubs this year. So I'll give. The Jays, I think, if we play them in the World Series, are the biggest competition, but since it can't be the Phillies anymore in the National League, I'll go Brewers.
I do want to mention, I bring up a little snippet of something we talked about last week. When we were discussing the MVP race between Aaron Judge and Cal Raleigh, you said you wanted it to come down to who's played better in the playoffs.
Yes.
And we haven't seen much from Cal Raleigh.
We have. We've seen consistency from him. We haven't seen home runs.
We haven't seen home runs.
Consistency. He's hitting over 400.
That's a very fair point, but Aaron Judge had his moment last night. I mean, you could argue that's his first big postseason moment of his career. And Cal Raleigh's been consistent, but he hasn't altered games yet, is what I'm saying.
Right.
I'm waiting to see him actually come into effect. And maybe it happens in Game 5 against Scooble. What a storybook that would be if he has a big home run to put Seattle up in the 6th inning of a scoreless game. He needs to start making his stamp on the playoffs, or else the Mariners are going to get eliminated really, really soon.
Okay. I actually could this week have kind of solidified my answer on this. It means MVP is most valuable player. Who is the most valuable guy to have on your team in the AL? I know, listen, Cal is a catcher, and that's a position that's usually really weak, and he hits those home runs, and he's a switch hitter, but I think Judge is still the most valuable.
Gunnar Henderson, darn it, come on. Come on, give the guy some.
Stop talking about the Orioles, they're still not in the picture. But Judge beats Cal out on every stat, and I think, as hard as it is to say, because I want to see Cal win an MVP, or someone else, Judge deserves it. But knowing the voters, and the way they like their little storylines, it's going to be Cal.
Well, it reminds me a little bit of what happened this past year. I know this is a baseball podcast, but it reminds me a little bit of what happened in the NFL. Lamar Jackson, he's won the MVP twice, had another MVP caliber year. They gave it to Josh Allen because it was somebody new who hadn't won it before.
And it was the storyline, the way he played that season.
I think it's a very similar kind of vibe to this past NFL year. And look, they both deserve it. I wish you could give it to two guys in the American. That's not the way sports work, unfortunately.
Right, and I'll give Judge the fact he did get robbed a couple years back by Altuve. In 2017. I don't think Altuve deserved that. And he cheated, but that's a whole other thing. So I do feel bad for the guy in that sense, but he's also won another one, so it's, But,
yeah.
All right, I feel like we've kind of covered all the bases here on the batter's box today. Is there anything else before we close off that you'd like to share?
I really hope the Yankees get eliminated tonight. It's looking like it, and I'm praying. Please.
And it's looking like the Dodgers might move on tonight.
Please.
So, we'll tune in with you guys next week. We'll have the championship series underway, and that's going to be exciting. We'll kind of have more of an idea of who might win the chip. So,
we'll see if Jackson's mood is any different if the Dodgers are still in it or not.
Yeah,
They should
we'll
be.
see.
They should
We'll
be.
see.
That would take a collapse for them not to be.
It'll kill me.
Still alive next week.
It will kill me. So hopefully you'll see me back here next week.
I will not have this jersey on next week.
I appreciate you being a trooper and wearing that though. I was worried you were gonna fight me on that. So thanks for just putting it on.
Of course.
Anyways, thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you again next week.
Yeah, get this rubbish off me.
I got a text from my grandpa that apparently the audio was horrible.
Uh-oh. That's not good. Was I talking too loud?
No, it's the mic.